CSE 117. Let's get into it. So first off is my project proposal, and my project was called TripSitter. So in general, TripSitter is a road trip planning app focused on letting the user plan more adventurous and less rigid road trips, while also heavily encouraging user safety. The main use cases of TripSitter are fluid road trip planning through a variety of route and sightseeing options, keeping trips on a budget in categories such as food, lodging, and fuel, and facilitating safety through community-sourced safety metrics, warnings before entering food, fuel, or shelter deserts, and the like. A little bit of background on the project. This project kind of comes from my love of road trips, which currently I'm on as we speak. I'm driving to Michigan for my internship, and my friends and family's concerns for the kind of impromptu and unplanned style of trips I enjoy. It can cause to a lot of fears about safety and all that. So that was kind of the influence for this project. So the core user base it can be split into roughly 3 sections. So college students who are young and adventurous and also more likely to want to contribute to the development of the project, young parents who may be on a budget and are very much more likely to be safety conscious, and lastly, van lifers who are the sort of power users of the app. Moving on to community engagement. It's fairly standard. For low touch, we have documentation and newsletters and the like. For medium touch engagement, we have social media, we have typical GitHub ticketing system, and we also have trip reports, which are a sort of optional feedback form at the end of a trip. And then for high touch, we have open social media DMs and community fireside chats. All right, some of the alternatives to TripSitter are Google and Apple Maps, which are a bit more generalized. Road Trippers, which is likely our most direct competition, but is closed source and lacks safety features and is also paid. And Gas Buddy, which is often used in conjunction with other apps such as Google Maps, but does not facilitate road trip planning in and of itself. Some of the adjacent projects that could be used in development of TripSitter are the Google Maps APIs, which are very advanced APIs, but are also closed source and can be expensive. For some open source alternatives, we have OpenStreetMaps, which are a little bit limited in API use, but there's a bunch of, because it's open source, there's a bunch of other projects which help out with that lack, such as Open Route Service, which is significantly cheaper than Google Maps API, as well as GeoAppify, which lets you query OpenStreetMaps data, which is very, very cool, and is also equivalent to the Google Maps Places API. So some iteration on the project. I would love to thank Aiden for his very great peer reviewing. Very much appreciate Aiden. And with that, that's about all we have for TripSitter, and we can move on to open source contribution. So I contributed to Zulip. We have my contribution log and contribution hub linked down here. And starting off with a research phase. So alongside Aiden, Tyler, and Kai, we delved into the Zulip documentation and created a contribution hub, which has a page of links seen right here, which has lots of helpful resources, including the professor that Aiden and I learned about Zulip from, contribution guidelines, community websites, code of conduct, norms, all that. We have an at-a-glance stages of contribution list, and we also have a table of issues that we thought would be good first issues for us to work on. All right, moving on from that, I started by finding this issue. So this issue seemed like a simple UI change. It was removing the columns for user IDs, which can be seen right here in Russian, but this is the user ID column, from all of these tables within the settings menu of Zulip. So to get started with that, I set up the development environment and delved into the documentation to learn about how to make front-end changes. So these are both screenshots from the Zulip documentation, which was very well thought out. I love the documentation. It was very simple. After I had it all set up and kind of learned about what I was doing, I got into the actual development and had some community engagement because I was running into a few issues. So I had some community engagement both on the GitHub issue itself and also on Zulip's own Zulip channel, which is used for development. So I was asking some questions on there. Moving on from that, I was finally able to get my fix fully complete and submitted my PR, which can be seen right here. And I was able to get it merged fairly quickly with a little bit of a rub. They wanted me to clean up my commit history, but besides that, I was able to get it merged, which is very, very cool. And that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciated it. And thank you for this class.